Look at that. He's like the noisiest thing in the world, but he's also adorable. All right, we're gonna do a trading recap. Uh, I did manage to get TradeStation to start cooperating with me, and that means I was able to import my trades to TraderView. So we're gonna go over real quick Roku and CGC. CGC was just a terrible, terrible mistake. Not terrible mistake. That's way too dramatic. CGC pushed up out of the zone, and I was in 10 puts. I meant to. I have to let the dog out now. I was in 10 puts. I meant to have a stop loss on 10. You need to go. My dog thinks he's a cat and doesn't know if he wants in or out. I was in 10 puts. I meant to stop out of 10. And somehow, in the process of trying to set a stop order, I ended up grabbing 10 more puts. So this morning I was like, oh crap. And I didn't realize it until an hour later. Look how smart I am. I got the notification and I was in the middle of a customer account and looked at my phone later and I'm like, wait a second. I thought I got out of that trade. Why am I down so much on this? So I lost more than what I meant to lose on that trade. That's why I don't like trading naked options. It just never works for me. And then Roku was one I did lock in a loss, and I ended up getting right back in like just a couple of minutes ago. Because we're in a zone and my stop was way too tight on that thing. This still looks like an excellent time to short it, and so I shorted some shares. And so I am short Roku. Um, but now for the real fun part. Ooh, look at that. Futures trading today. Futures trading, which was primarily bouncing around on the 15-minute time frame. And I need to activate my futures account. And here, there we go. Now we can see all the little arrows indicating where I got in or out. But I will also bring up TradeStation. I did short last night, and I put up the video last night talking about how I shorted what I thought was a zone, but as it turns out, my zone was not Don's zone. And when you're doing something as precise as futures contracts, that makes a really big deal. And so I shorted here and ended up stopping out of it. That would have been about 9 o'clock last night. Oh, I didn't even realize I did that at 9 o'clock. So there you have it. Shorted, got stopped out. Sorry, I don't know how these charts work. And then here's today's trading. We pushed up, and I decided to short one more time. That was based on. Where was that push up? We pushed up and we started rejecting out of there, and I saw that rejection happening, and I'm fairly certain that's where it happened. Oh no, sorry, we were down below the zone today. If I actually just look at the arrows, I know what I'm doing. We were down below the zone. We pushed up, and I shorted it up here, and it sold off. It sold off. It sold off, and I did end up. I put my stop in the green when I saw how much that sold off, and as you can see, I barely made a little bit on that. So it wasn't a massively profitable trade by any stretch of the imagination. Then I decided to get long on the market. That was based on this consolidation right here, and even if we kick it over to like the hourly time frame, when you start seeing it pulled down, we pushed up, we broke above, we broke below, we're playing around this zone. We hit the zone, we tried selling off, we came right back up in. We started going sideways, and it was in the middle of that candle that I'm like, okay, there's a lack of sellers right now. Where there had historically been sellers, I'm kind of feeling like we're going to go long. And so I'm going to go ahead and get in on this trade and take a long position. My main mistake, honestly, was if I remember correctly, this is the first time I did it today because I did it a couple of times today. So I was somewhere right around this candle, and my stop was down here. So let's put that there, and oops, that there, and I mean, just pop that up there somewhere. So there we go. If I was actually going to risk my normal 200 like I would on a futures trade, I should have had two contracts. And as you can see from my trading results, I only grabbed one. This was one of those moments where I was like, I think it's going to go up, but I don't want to commit to it. And so you run into this weird thing trading where I just took a $200 loss overnight. And so I'm going to take a trade, basically a break-even trade first thing in the morning. That was a $200 risk. And then this one, for some reason, I decided to back out of it. It ended up being a fairly profitable trade, which this is all, here, let's make these candles look bigger. Now it looks more impressive. It was a 15-minute time frame. I was kind of just popping in and out when I had the chance today, and that ended up being, I stopped out over here. So I don't remember the exact profit and loss on that, but it's 22 points ish. So 22 points times 5, not divided by 5 times 5, that's about $110 on one contract. I should have had two contracts in that, like all day long. That you want that 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Look, I could have set a limit order up here and hit my 2-to-1 ratio if we talk about that, magical ratio or whatever. And for some reason, I decided not to. So I tagged out over here. Was not in as heavy of a position as I should have been. And that comes back to something that Don's talked about before, where you can take a trade that is, you can have a good trade that is profitable or a good trade that is unprofitable. And we're defining a trade as good when you actually follow all of your rules. So you're risking the proper amount, you're not going crazy with anything. When you follow the procedure, some trades are going to be winners, some trades are going to be losers. In this instance, this was actually a bad trade that was profitable in the sense that I didn't go in with my full position. And so I ended the day nice and green, but I could have made a whole lot more had I actually followed my procedure, went in with my normal risk amount. So that's completely on me for not doing that. The same thing happened right about here. We look at this consolidation here. I saw the pullback. I got tagged out of that trade. We started getting into a period of consolidation, which happened to be right around the top of the zone. And when I saw that, I was like, 15-minute consolidation. I got in right here. And I mean, with just grab the middle of that candle, it doesn't tell me exactly where I got in. I got in right here with my stop right here. And I ended up getting tagged out right here. I should have had 4 contracts on this trade, right? I had 1. Look at that. I should have had 4 contracts for where I was putting my risk. 4 contracts. I went in with a quarter of the risk that I should have. So I was risking like $50 on this trade. And it ended up being another profitable trade. So I didn't make nearly as much as I could have. We finally got more of a sell-off. I got in over here, and this was a position that I took with my stop all the way down here-ish, something like that. And I did, if I remember correctly, I did end up grabbing 2 contracts on that one. That was my full-size risk. And the way that I played that, and this is the reason why I need to make sure, like, if I can pick up multiple contracts, because I actually love doing this with futures. It pushed up. We got up here. I sold a contract. So I cut my position in half. I think it was up $200 on this trade. I took $100 out of the trade, took $100 profit, bumped my stop up. And I think I was on the road at the time, so I really just like kind of randomly stuck the stop loss somewhere. There was no real rhyme or reason to it. And as you can see, it ended up pulling back down and tagging me out. I did not get back in. I thought about getting back in right here, and I was going to get back in with a stop right there. I decided not to. I was driving and couldn't manage positions. So didn't take advantage of that final bounce at the end of the day. That would have been another, $100 or $200 winner. But when it's all said and done, oops. Why is it doing this? There we go. If we go to trades and we go to futures trading filter. So here's my executions just for today. And I'm looking at just shy of $300 profit. You can see the intraday graph. That's not including the stock or options trades. I don't know how this is generated by the platform. So this is generated by TraderView, my journaling software. So there you have it. Nice and green day today, but I didn't follow my rules. And so it's an interesting learning experience where had I stuck with my procedures, had I traded properly, it would have been even more green than what it was. It was also interesting though. Today was a busier day at work. I was on the road a lot. I think I drove a total of 300 some miles in customer accounts in like 2 different facilities today where I had no signal at all. And I'm still somehow was able to kind of just peek at the 15-minute time frame every once in a while and took, I mean, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4 trades today. So fairly active in the markets and still busy at work. So that's a cool sign. Hopefully that's kind of a sustainable pattern and I'll be able to start dialing in my futures trading. Um, but there you have it. That's a review of my day. It was green, but I didn't follow my rules, so I need to work on that. I need to make sure that if I'm saying I'm going to risk a certain amount, I commit to that because it's going to be those kind of trades. This was a fine example, but like a trade like this where it ended up being a good green trade, and I didn't have as much in it as I should have. So great learning experience. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.